Good morning, students. Today we are going to start with chapter 12, Correlation, from your Statics for Economics book. Firstly, let me introduce what is correlation. Whenever there is some definite connection between two or more groups or between class or series or data, that connection is termed as correlation. That means, in simple terms, relationship between two variables, they can be termed as correlation. According to this, meaning of correlation. Correlation is a degree of interrelatedness among two or more variables. It is a process to find out the degree of relationship between two or more variables by applying various statistical tools and techniques. So how can we find out the relationship between two or more variables? Through various statistical tools or techniques. Clear? Then we have types of correlation. Mainly we have four types of correlation, that is positive, negative, linear, curvilinear, or you can say non-linear. Firstly, what is positive correlation? When two variables, supposing there are two variables x and y and they move in same direction, what does it mean? If one rises, the other one also rises, vice versa. If one is decreasing, other one is also decreasing. So this relationship is termed as positive correlation. Clear? Over here you can take the example of relationship between price and supply. Then we have negative correlation. Again, if two variables, they move in the opposite direction. Opposite direction means if one is showing increase, the other one is showing the decrease. Or if y commodity is showing the increase, then x will show decrease. Clear? So they are going opposite. That correlation is termed as a negative correlation. Then we have linear correlation. When two variables, they change in the constant proportion. That means the ratio of the change of two variables remain constant throughout, then they are said to be linearly correlated. Clear? That means if one is changing by 1 unit, the other one is also changing by 1 unit. That means their ratio of change of two variables, that is constant. Then we have curvilinear, or you can say non-linear correlation. When two variables do not change in any constant proportion, that means there is a large gap between their change. Variables, they are not increasing at the constant position. In that case, we can say the correlation is a non-linear correlation or the curvilinear correlation. Then have a look at the graph, how this types of correlation can be seen. Over here you can have a look at the positive correlation. So variables, they are moving in the same direction. They are showing an increase. Clear? Similarly, in the negative correlation, it is downward sloping. They are opposing each other. So their relationship is downward sloping. And you can see no relationship when they are just going opposite to each other. Or if all the points are scattered, in that case we can say they are non-linear, or we can say there is none or weak correlationship. Clear? Then after this we have degree of correlation. So degree of correlation, it refers to the coefficient of correlation. Coefficient means when we are finding it in terms of percentage. So there can be four following degrees of the positive and the negative correlation. What are the basic degrees? The first one is perfect correlation. So when is the correlation termed as perfect? Correlation is perfectly positive when the proportional change in two variables is in the same direction, as we have read in the positive correlation. So both the variables, they are in the same direction and they are showing the positive correlation. In that case, the coefficient of correlation would be positive. And in case of perfect correlation, the coefficient will lie between +1 and -1. That means perfect positive or perfect negative. What would happen in case of perfect negative? Correlation is perfectly negative when proportional change in two variables is in the opposite direction. So as I have shown you in the graph, so when it is in the opposite direction, then we can say it is negative correlation. Then perfect negative means In that case, the correlation will be -1. Then second, we have high degree of correlation. When correlation of two series is close to 1, it is called high degree of correlation, but its coefficient would lie between 0.75 to 1. When the coefficient lies between 0.75 to 1, we can say there is positively high degree of comparison, and when it lies between -75 to -1, then it is negative high degree of comparison. Next is moderate degree of correlation. In moderate degree of correlation, when the correlation of two series is neither large nor small, that means it is moderate. It is said to be the moderate degree of correlation, and its coefficient, it would lie between 0.25 to 0.75. Similarly, you can see for the negative, it is between -0.25 to -75. Then we have low degree of correlation. When the degree of correlation of the two series is very small, it is called the low degree of correlation, and its coefficient lie between 0 and 0.25. Clear? Then lastly, we have the absence of correlation. Absence means there is no relationship between two series or the variables. That is, the change in one variable has no effect on the change in other. There is no relation between each other. In that case, we can say correlation is 0. Clear? So read out till the degrees of correlation from your book. Thank you.